Okay, so today we're learning how to solve systems by elimination. So we're in our foldable, kind of our flat book thing, and we're on the elimination tab, which is our last one. So this is just a third method to solve systems, and honestly, it's my favorite. It works best when your equations are in standard form. That means like an x and then plus or minus the y equal to a number. So what we're going to do is we're going to look to essentially eliminate a variable, like kind of cancel it out. So this set of these two equations are ready to go. If we add straight down, a variable will be eliminated. So let's look and see what we're talking about. So we're going to do x plus 3x. So we're going to take these two and add x plus 3x is 4x. Okay, now take the y's. Negative 3y plus 3y. That makes 0, so that eliminates. And then 7 plus 9 is going to be 16. So the whole purpose of this is to eliminate one of the variables so that you can solve and find the other variable. Once we know one variable, we can plug back into the original equation and we'll know them both. So we have 4x equals 16. We divide by 4 and we get x equals 4. Now remember, we always write our answer as a point because if you graph them, it's talking about the point where they intersect. So x is 4. So now you can go back into either of these equations up here, either one of the original ones, and plug in x and find y. Let's just go for the top equation. So we have x, which is 4, minus 3y equals 7. Okay, now we've got to solve for y. So let's subtract the 4. Okay, we get negative 3y equals 7 minus 4 is 3. Now let's divide by negative 3. So we get y equals negative 1. Okay, so our answer is 4, negative 1. Let's try another one. So look at this system over here. So if you look at these two equations, it is ready to go, meaning that one of the variables is going to eliminate. So if you add straight down, x plus x is 2x. But then y and a negative y, y minus y, or y plus negative 1y is 0. So those eliminate right there. And then negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. Now we divide by 2 to find out what x is. We get x equals negative 1. Okay, so now we've got to find our y, so we can go into either equation. I'm just going to do the top one that says x plus y equals negative 4. Let's plug in our x. Okay, now we've got to solve to get y by itself. So we add 1. And we get y equals negative 3. So our answer is negative 1, negative 3. Okay, so let's look at one that's not ready to eliminate. Like it's close, it's set up right. If you look at this first example over here, it's definitely in the right order. We have x and then a y and then equals a number on both equations. But when you look at this, nothing's going to eliminate, okay? Like nothing's going to simplify out. But what would work is if I had a negative 4x, if I had negative 4x plus 4x, that would make 0 and the x's would eliminate. Now I can't just randomly throw a negative 4 in there. So what I have to do to get it in there, I have to multiply the whole thing, the entire row, by negative 4. So let's try that. Distributing negative 4 into that row, you get negative 4x. Negative 4 times 10y is negative 40y. And negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Okay, so I multiplied, and as long as I do it to every single thing in that row, it's fine. You can multiply by any number that you need. You just have to do it in everything. You could also multiply to both the top and the bottom row if you needed to. It just matters that whatever you multiply by, you have to do it across every single piece of that entire equation in that row. So now I'm just going to rewrite this bottom equation. So that bottom equation, I'm literally just writing, I didn't change a thing, so it just scooted right over here so that it was lined up. So now if you look at it, something's ready to eliminate. Negative 4x plus 4x is 0, so that eliminates. So move on to the y's. Negative 40y plus 5y. Okay, that's negative 35y. Now let's do the x's. I'm sorry, the constants over here. Negative 12 plus 5 is negative 7. Okay, so we divide by negative 35. and you get y equals, okay, a negative divided by negative is a positive, and 7 over 35 is 1/5. So it's a little weird to have a fraction in it, but honestly, guys, a fraction or a decimal is fine. We don't see it very often, but it's completely okay. So your y value is 1/5. So now, you can go back into either of the original equations, like when I say the original, the ones that you started out written on your paper. So either of these two equations, and we can solve for x. I'm going to choose the top equation just because it looks more simple, honestly. So x plus 10y equals 3. But instead of y, I know that y is 1/5. So plug in 1/5 for y, substitute it in. So 10 times a fifth is 2. So x plus 2 equals 3. Now subtract the 2, and you get x equals 1. So your answer is the point 1, 1/5. Okay, so let's look at this next one. So let's say, I don't know, let's just say that we want the y's to eliminate. So if you look at the y's, we have negative 2y and negative 5y. So think about a number that both 2 and 5 can go into, and that's 10. So I need them to be like a positive 10y and a negative 10y. It doesn't matter which one's positive, but you need one of each. You need a positive and a negative of the same number. So, okay, let's think about if we want to multiply on the top. If you took this entire top equation times 5, that would get you that negative 10y. Let's go ahead and try it. So 5 times 3x, all right, there's 15x. 5 times negative 2y. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10y. And then equals, and 5 times negative 7 is negative 35. Okay, that got me the negative 10y. So to make it simplify out, I need this to be a positive 10y because negative 10 plus 10 is 0. So what can I multiply by negative 5 to make it be positive 10? What do I need to multiply by? I need to multiply by a negative 2. So let's try it. 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x. Negative 5y times negative 2 is positive 10y. Okay, and negative 2 times 10 is negative 20. So now if you look at this, negative 10y plus 10y will eliminate because it makes 0. So we're on the right track so far. So let's try to add straight down. 15x and negative 4x. You can think of it as 15 plus negative 4 or 15 minus 4. It's the same thing. You get 11x. Negative 10y plus 10y is 0. Negative 35 minus 20 is negative 55. Okay, now we divide by 11, and x is negative 5. So I have negative 5 for x. All right, now I need to find y. So you can go back to either of these first two equations, either of these guys right here, and you can plug it in. It really makes no difference. I'm just going to do the top one, but it literally just makes 0 difference on this one. Neither looks easier. So if I have 3x minus 2y equals negative 7, then what I'm going to plug in is x is negative 5. So you know x is negative 5. All right, 3 times negative 5, let me scroll down a little bit, guys, is negative 15 minus 2y equals negative 7. Add the 15 over. All right, I'm out of room, so I'm going to move over here. Negative 2y equals negative 7 plus 15 is 8. Divide by negative 2, and you get negative 4. So the answer is negative 5, negative 4. And that is our foldable. But we do have a little half sheet that's on practicing elimination. So we are going to go ahead and visit that and maybe do a couple sample problems. We might not do both of them though. Okay, so the half sheet looks like this. It says solving systems by elimination practice. So let's go ahead and try this one. So this first one, you can eliminate the x or the y, it doesn't matter. Let's say we want to eliminate the y. So if we're going to eliminate the y, we have a minus 1 and a plus 2. Well, I need them to be the same. So if I multiply this top equation times 2, what that will do for me is it will give me a negative 2y. So we have 6x, because 3 times 2 is 6, minus 2y equals 4. Now, if you rewrite the bottom equation, I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to literally rewrite it. I have x plus 2y equals 3. So you see right now, what's good about this is your y's are going to eliminate because one's positive and one's negative, and they're both 2. So 6x plus x is 7x. Negative 2y plus 2y is 0. 4 plus 3 is 7. Divide by 7, and you get 1. All right, so that's part of your answer. You have x equals 1. So to find the rest of your answer, we're going to go ahead and solve for y. I'm going to use the bottom equation. It doesn't really matter. Just choose one. I'm going to use the bottom one. So plug in 1 for x. Now I'm going to subtract the 1. I get 2y equals 2. Now divide by 2. So y is 1. So the point 1, 1 is your answer. Okay, let's go ahead and try one more. We'll skip the last one. So on this one, if you look, we could either multiply the top equation by 2 because that would give me the minus 2y, and so that would help, and then that would work. The other thing I could do, if you look at the x's, I have 5x and 5x. So if one of them was negative, they would eliminate. So let's try that. Let's multiply the top by negative 1. All right, so that gets us negative 5x. Negative y times negative 1 is positive y, and then equals negative 6. Okay, so then on the bottom equation, let's just go ahead and rewrite it. We have 5x plus 2y equals 3. Okay, so look at the x's. The x's are ready to eliminate because you have negative 5x plus 5x. That's 0. So that's our goal, is always to eliminate one of the variables. Then we find out what the other variable is. So y plus 2y is 3y. Negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. Now to get y by itself, divide by 3. So we get y equals negative 1. Okay, so now we need x. So remember, you can pick either equation, the top or the bottom. It really makes no difference. It's just whatever you want to do. I'm going to choose the bottom equation. So I have 5x plus 2y equals 3. Okay, whoops, I started to plug in for x there, but if you look at this, this is y. We know y, so we must need to, I messed that up, guys, plug in for y. And the reason is right here, y equals negative 1. So we're going to, instead of y, we're going to plug in the number negative 1. Okay, so it was y equals, so we got to plug it in for y. So you have 5x, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, and it still equals 3. Add the 2, and that gets 5x equals 5. Now to get x by itself, divide by 5, and you get x equals 1. So your answer is the point 1, negative 1. Okay. And we will go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and write out the bottom one. So if you want to, you can try it and see how you're doing and see if your answer lines up. But honestly, we've done 6 examples, so I feel okay if you decide to skip it. It's up to you and how you're feeling confidence-wise on this. Okay, and there is my solution worked out. And if you put it as a fraction, it's negative 3 halves, comma 1 half, or it could be negative 1.5, comma half. So, and that is our answer to the last example.